I worked on race cars and with race teams, and I traveled around the country. And it was a real fast-paced life. You worked all week long to go to the racetrack on the weekend, to race on the weekend, to load back up, to work all week long, to go back to the racetrack the next weekend. And you traveled all over the country. I had to make a change because of my health, and when I made that change, I didn't know if I was going to be able to enjoy living, as much, because it was a big change. But I went from doing that to farming, and now I get to listen to a tractor and ride a tractor and do things with the cows and all. I went from working on 200-mile-an-hour race cars to working on 20-mile-an-hour tractors now. I don't have to listen to as many people now because I'm not around as many people. Cows don't talk to you, they moo at you every now and then, but when they want something, but it's a lot quieter and slower paced life now. My grandfather owned a lot of the property that we farm now, and he grew vegetables. He row cropped and grew vegetables and took them to the farmer's market to pay for his property. I grew up following my grandfather and following my dad around the property and doing things, whatever they were doing, I would ride with them, and when I was little I would probably be in the way more than anything, but I would help them, and you learn a lot of things just by being around people. You can watch and pick up things. So I learned how to work on things, take things apart and put things back together. And it's my dad's first cousin, her husband, worked for my dad, and he got into racing. He used to race go-karts, and he got into racing small stock cars. And because he worked with my dad and I was around him all the time, I kind of picked up on it that way, and I got into racing that way and kind of got hooked on it. It was enjoyable, something fun to do. It was the mechanic side of it. Some of the guys I talked to were looking for people that had a farming background or grew up doing mechanic work. And they liked mechanics that grew up on a farm because you could do just about anything. If you grew up on a farm, you had to be able to fix anything. I've been a diabetic since I was 10, and later on in life, complications started setting in, and I had a couple severe infections, and I was in a coma at one point, and it takes a toll on your body after all the years just being a diabetic. But being a diabetic and doing something like racing takes a real big toll on your body, and so I had to get out of racing, and my doctors suggested they put me out of work to take better care of my health. I moved back home and came back to work, came back to the farm to live, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to, what I was going to be able to do with my health. And I'd run myself down. I was in pretty bad health shape, and I got to helping around the farm and got a little better off. And it's always good to be able to get out and do something for your health, for the exercise. And it was a struggle sometimes because my health wasn't as great as it had been. I couldn't do things like I could when I was younger or when I was healthier. So just like toting feed out for the cows was more of a chore now than it used to be when I was a teenager. So part of the things that's helped me is like through the equipment through AgrAbility, the Kubota, I can set feed on it and take feed out to the cows. I can still do that, and it frees my dad up to do something else. I don't have to depend on someone to help me do that, and it makes you feel a lot more independent that way, and just makes the whole day more productive. It gives you a reason to get up every day, because you get up, you come over and check on the cows, make sure they have feed, none of them are having problems with a calf or anything like that. You check on the fences and check the hay fields, see how they're growing, where you're going to mow them and make hay off of, and it just gives you something to do and just for a reason for being. Crossover gates, I think is what way they're described. They're a little ramp type gate, and it's made out of tubing with slots so the cows won't cross it. It's a slight incline. You have to go over a little hump, and you put it in between two fence posts. You take your fence down and put that in and set it in there and anchor it, And I can drive across it now without having to get out and open a gate up. And on places where you're in and out all the time, it just makes life a whole lot easier because you're not on and off the machine, opening a gate and closing a gate. You can just drive over and get your job done. I'm very appreciative to everything that the AgrAbility project has been able to help me with as far as finding information and equipment and technology. It's been a very beneficial to me and to the farm to keep things running a lot smoother and make working around the farm a lot easier. It really takes a load off of me when you can use the equipment that I have now. It just makes the whole day easier. I don't have to go to work. I go to the farm. It's not like a real job. I grew up playing in dirt, and now I get to play in the dirt. When everything's going right, it's the most enjoyable thing in the world.